Holy crap, Cyberpunk Edgerunners is stupidly glorious. It's the type of psychotic, neon-colored, high-octane, fucking watchable insanity we crave from time to time. Throughout the 10 episodes, it grabs you by the balls and doesn't let you go, taking you along for one blood-soaked, chrome-covered, psycho-fueled ride. It has an infectious energy and fully embraces the concept of the original game, without obviously this. And when you look on how the show came to be, everything makes sense. For me, one of the greatest animation studios working nowadays, Studio Trigger delivers in spades here. Their partnership with Cyberpunk feels like a match made in heaven, with the ultra-violence and high concept of the franchise fitting perfectly to Trigger's wacko taste and incredibly stylized animation. This might be the most visually stunning thing they have ever done, and yes, I'm including Kill la Kill and Promare in this equation. The world of Cyberpunk here feels fully realized, the colors popping out of the screen at every frame. And Hiroyuki Imaishi directs the fuck out of every single scene, stepping the foot on the gas when shit hits the fan, like a Japanese baby driver jacked down on steroids. But he also knows when to stop, to pull back from all the craziness and bring the energy down. Contrasting with all the hyperactive action you see here, it's impressive how many scenes there are in the show where, during a conversation or a quiet moment, the anime dwells on a single shot or frame. No cuts, no back and forth, it just sits there for a few seconds. And it works. It lets you get to the same mood, the same vibe as the characters. And this feels really important because all the noise and colors don't mean anything if we don't get a moment to take it easy, to let slower moments breathe and allow the story and the characters to draw you into that world. And this is something truly beautiful. For all the hardcore energy it radiates, Cyberpunk Edgerunners also has compelling, charismatic, and surprisingly complex characters. David, our protagonist, is a little punk who lives on the fringe of society, one bad day away from going crazy, while his mom works her ass off to provide a good education for him. David is a well-meaning kid, but he still feels like a product of the place he was born into. When things spiral down for him right in the beginning, he takes drastic measures, but he never loses his essence. And this helps us continue to empathize with him, especially as he meets Lucy, an alluring netrunner who is a lot more than meets the eye. At first, she's very untrustworthy, skittish, and has a bunch of walls to protect her from getting too close with anyone. But as the series progresses, you see that she's also a young woman with a past, with dreams, and it's amazing to see her evolving throughout the show, breaking down those barriers and allowing herself to be vulnerable around David. Their relationship feels poignant, mature, and honestly, way better than 90% of the anime couples I've seen out there. Lucy also introduces David to her crew of Edgerunners, which is basically this universe's name for mercenaries. Main, Dorio, Kiwi, Pillar, Falco, and freaking Rebecca. It's great to see that the supporting cast has been given the same attention as our two protagonists. They obviously don't get as much development, but even with the short runtime this anime has, it still manages to make them incredibly charismatic and, once in a while, allows us to even take a peek into their psyche. What makes them tick? What are their traumas? What led them to this life? We see Main and his tough as nails attitude as a crew's leader, but later we also get to see a part of his past and how it affected him in pretty serious ways. We see Kiwi and her taciturn nature, but we also get to know her beliefs, things that allowed her to survive in this merciless world and even inform some of the decisions she takes later. And Rebecca, my god, her energy is infectious and she is hilarious at times, her brash and excitable nature contrasting so well with the rest of the crew. This is a top-notch cast. Even Faraday, one of our main villains, gets a lot of screen time so that we understand his mindset. A man in suit who serves no one but himself and is basically a product of this ultra-capitalist world. Which leads me to another great element of the show, the world building. In the world of Cyberpunk, there are no mayors or presidents, but super corporations ruling over cities and countries, and Night City feels the perfect microcosm of this universe. A high-techno dystopia where violence and poverty are the law of the land. People addicted to cybernetic implants, black markets, and crime running rampant, all being used to the benefit of the big suits, hidden in their shiny skyscrapers. But even then, they managed to make this grueling metropolis look vibrant and memorable. Daylight scenes having these highly saturated, colorful vistas, contrasting with the night where neon colors dominate and make the city feel alive, but in a completely different way. And when the violence kicks up a notch, the spill of blood looks as grimy and awesome at any time of the day. And speaking about blood, did I tell you guys how crazy is the action here? The energy here is ludicrous at times, the sound design is majestic, the soundtrack completely slaps, and the animation, like, the show just pulls no punches, and weirdly enough, it never feels juvenile. Okay, maybe a little bit, but really, that's the fun of it. There's a kinetic but very tight sense of control. It feels like it's going everywhere, but you're never lost on the action. Once again, I need to praise director Imaishi and his crew. There are sequences in the show that almost make it feel like they snorted lines of something, and then went on to the drawing board to get shit done. There isn't as much Sakuga here as in other Trigger animations, the kind of stretchy action that anime fans love, but that ends up working on the show's favor. Point is, if you love action, you're gonna be in heaven with the show. Now, with nothing but praises being thrown at it, the question remains, is this perfect? Well, obviously not. I think the show does get a bit rushed from time to time, throwing in a bunch of quick cutscenes to try and move the story forward, that unfortunately ends up undermining the emotions a bit, especially in the ending, which was not bad for me. It's very bittersweet and melancholic, and it feels like the right conclusion to this story. But I just think an extra 5 minutes would have allowed the final moments to flow easier and emotions to hit harder. Also, as much as I love the quieter moments, there's one sequence or another where this show stays on a single frame for just too long. This is more of a nitpick, and there might be others who won't agree with this, but that's just me. Finally, the nudity does feel a bit gratuitous at times. It doesn't feel like an ecchi anime where the camera ogles the females like a horny teenager, but there's one moment or another that kinda tips that line. It is, however, way more mature. There's a naturality to the naked body thanks to how the body itself is perceived in this universe that helps it balance it out. Also helps that, as I mentioned before, the female characters aren't just fucking eye candies and are really well written. In all, it's a minor issue but also worth mentioning. And frankly, the positive far outweigh these negatives. This anime is another proof that, for all the complaints and criticism you can throw at Netflix, especially on the release side of things when it comes to anime, it's undeniable that their animation department has been consistently gifting us with banger after banger, and Cyberpunk Edgerunners is without a doubt part of that. So, if after hearing all that I said, this anime sounds like your jam, what are you waiting for? Don't be a fool and go watch the show already. Is this an easy watch? No. Are you gonna have your heart broken in the way? Definitely. Is it gonna be worth it? Fuck yeah, you will.